This is the Buckeye Board of Education regular meeting of May 10th, 2016 at 7 p.m. Roll call, please.
Markham.
Here.
Sisella. Here. Gunkelman. Here. Hanson. Stahl.
Here.
And would you join me in the pledge of allegiance? The flag is a flag of the
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all for coming out tonight. This meeting is a meeting of the Board of Education in public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting. There is a time for public participation during the meeting as indicated in the agenda. Approval of the minutes. Resolved that the Buckeye Board of Education approve the minutes of the regular and special meeting of April 12, 2016. Is there a motion? There's a motion. Is a second? Discussion? Roll call, please.
Hanson.
Yes.
Sisella.
Yes.
Gunkelman.
Abstain.
Stahl.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes. Recommendation statement. Following recommendations have been identified for approval as part of the consent agenda for this meeting. The board member wishes to remove any items from the agenda for further discussion prior to taking action. Please let Superintendent and myself know. And we have approval of the consent agenda. There's going to be some changes to the agenda. Resolved, the Buckeye Board of Education approved the consent agenda of May 10, 2016 as amended, and the amendments that we have is item 13. I. It's going to be a separate vote. And
15B.
15B1 is going to be pulled from tonight's agenda for another meeting. And then 15B5 will be a separate vote. Are there any other changes? And can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda?
I so move.
For a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call?
Gunkelman.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Sisella.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Markham.
Yes. Superintendent, special guest.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you all for coming. Very much appreciate you being here. Our first item this evening is an item that we always enjoy every month. If I could ask our principals to please come to my left, your right, this way, and join your students of the month. And whoever gets there first, you can come up first.
Good evening and welcome. I am Mr. Flood, principal of Buckeye Junior High, and with me tonight I have Colin Wright. He's a 7th grader at Buckeye Junior High, and he was chosen for May Student of the Month. Colin is and has been a member of 4-H for 5 to 6 years now. He plays club baseball. He is on the Premier Athletics. Am I right in saying that? Okay, Colin and I talked about this and I forgot about the exact team that he was on at this time, but one of the biggest things about Colin is he is straight A's. He is always at school, and he is always very, very respected. And talking to Colin, and then what he doesn't know is I actually went out afterwards and talked to some of his teachers, and I asked Colin, I said, give me one word that your teachers would describe about you. And the one thing that Colin said was, he goes, I would hope they would all say I'm respected, that I'm very respectful. And going out and talking with his teachers, that is exactly the one word that every teacher talked about. He said, Colin is always, always very respectful. One of the things that I love about Colin is he has a great attitude. He is fun-loving. He has a very funny sense of humor, which many of our junior high kids love about him, and our teachers do as well. So at this time, I'd love for everybody to welcome and congratulate Colin.
You guys are not seeing double. We have Logan and Sarah Lowe. They're both so great, we couldn't recognize just one. So these are two third grade students. Logan, Mrs. Burgess has both of them in her class, and she said, Logan is a shining star in my classroom. He's kind, smart, and conscientious. He's a good friend to others and sets a positive example. He will go out of his way to help us and others if they need it, and he's a very dependable student. I can always count on him to follow through with any task I give him. He's responsible at school, completes his work on time, and is always prepared for the day. He works hard every day to keep up good grades, and he's a joy to have in the classroom. Great job, Logan. And Sarah, was selected as Student of the Month because of her wonderful character and her academic excellence in my classroom. She's a friendly, happy girl and impresses me every day by treating others with kindness and respect. She's well liked by her classmates, maybe except for her brother sometimes. Because she cares about them and she's fun to be around. Her constant smile on her face and her positive attitude are infectious. She's also a responsible and conscientious worker. She too completes her class and maintains her good grades, and that's why Logan and Sarah are primary students of the month.
And our Buckeye Intermediate School Student of the Month is Madison Eberts. Madison is a 5th grader in Mrs. Vetrick's class. Mrs. Vetrick says Madison is a kind, sweet, and hardworking student. She always has a smile on her face for her teachers and classmates. She's helpful to her peers and is happy to help with anything they need. There's not been a day this school year where she has not been up to my desk asking me if I need help. She takes it upon herself to check in homework, file mail, organize books without being asked. She helps keep room 314 running smooth. Maddie is open to asking for help when she needs it, as well as correcting work to make it even better. She's very conscientious about her classwork. She enjoys learning new topics and always has great ideas to share. Her friendly nature, hard work, and kindness are just a few reasons why Madison Eberts deserves to be Student of the Month. Madison Eberts.
At Buckeye High School, for this month, we have 2 Students of the Month. First, we have Rachel Kingsley. Rachel is involved in AP Calculus, Student Council. She's also involved in her church youth group. She is self-employed. This is a free plug here for her business. She is self-employed, and she makes and sells cakes. Keep that in mind. All right, she is in the, she's been in the color guard for 3 years, and she is going to Kent State to major in interior design. Rachel Kingsley, we'll give her a hand. And also we have Daniel Peters. Daniel is going to be going to the University of Cincinnati to major in electrical engineering. He works 25 hours a week at Timber Lodge while maintaining school involvement and high grades. His Eagle Scout project he did for our school system, for Buckeye Local Schools. He fixed up the land map that is on our property. So, Daniel Peters.
Dan, I think you may have another commitment here, so if you need to leave, that's fine. We will take a break here in a few minutes, because I know that for those students that are here for recognition, you may have some work to do. Before our Students of the Month leave, I would ask that you see Miss Calvin in the red to my right. Before you leave, we'd like to get your picture before you leave. So thank you and congratulations. I'd like to move on with a few more recognitions. I would like to ask Mr. and Mrs. Horrigan to come forward, and I'm also going to ask Mr. Finley to come forward. I want to thank them for being here this evening. And I know sometimes when you do good for a community, you don't do it for recognition. And I appreciate you being here this evening. And I won't steal too much of Mr. Finley's thunder. But what I will say is that from time to time you have somebody that goes above and beyond, reaching out and doing for the community. And Mr. and Mrs. Horrigan are wonderful examples of that. And I want to thank you for what you do. And I'm going to let Mr. Finley talk a little bit about the project.
Yeah, sure. I'd like to ask you to recognize Jason and Sarah Wilson. They're Medina residents, they're not Buckeye, but they provide a really useful and helpful service to a lot of our Buckeye students who happen to be more lower socioeconomic students. They do a knowledge and power homework club over Liberty Plaza. They do it every Wednesday night, and they've been doing it since January, and they just provide great service to our kids over there. And if they'd like to add a couple things about how it started and anything about how the kids come, things like that.
Thank you for bringing us here today. Appreciate that. It's certainly wasn't our intention, but thank you. Yeah, we started it back in January. There was actually Sarah was going there to mentor 6th, 7th, and 8th grade kids, and it was girls, and it was clear that the young men in the community also needed some guidance. So she started this homework club. And it was pretty great. There was at first a couple kids would show up, and eventually we got to the point where almost a dozen kids show up sometimes. But it was very rewarding for us because we just wanted to kind of give back to the community. We look forward to every Wednesday when we get to go there and visit with the kids. And so that's
Thank you very much. I was really, when Mr. Williams sent out an email to all of us to explain what we were doing, it was really one of those things that we greatly appreciate. People stepping forward and our students. Thanks.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for what you did. And if I could have Jonathan come forward. Johnny is here. We have what's called Invention Convention. And the students in the 6th grade get to create an invention, and then they present that, and several of us had the opportunity, Mr. Finley, Ms. Collins, Ms. Nimmo, and I, had the opportunity to judge the inventions that our students created. And one of those inventions stuck out to us. Johnny's here today to talk about his invention. He won first place, or you were qualified to the nationals from the regional based on his invention. The nationals are in Washington, D.C., and he is qualified for that. And Johnny, do you want to talk a little bit about your invention?
Have you ever worried about packages being delivered to your porch when you're not home, and maybe those packages being stolen or damaged? If so, the porch protector is the perfect solution for you. It's an attractive, easy-to-use box that's also secure that keeps your packages safe. It makes sure that your latest Amazon treasures are safe at home. The porch protector protects your packages on your porch. The porch protector is just a box that's inside your porch that has packages in it. It works by a pressure plate being activated, and then that causes it to pull an electromagnet. So when you close the door, then it hits another switch, and then it goes down, and now it's locked. This explains it in more detail.
So I think sometimes the most important part of the invention is that it's practical. And I can't think of anything more practical. How many of us have probably had something stolen off our porch at some point? So what a practical invention. We want to thank you for being here, and thank you so much for representing our school district in such an outstanding manner. So please join me in congratulating. Why you won. Congratulations. Thanks for Can we take just about a 2 or 3 minute break? And for those students that have homework in that would like to leave, if you would do so to your left, those students of the month, if you would please see Ms. Calvin for a quick picture, and we'll get started with our meeting again in about 2 to 3 minutes.
Bring it back to order. And the treasurer's financial report.
I'm asking the board to approve all the internal budgets and amended certificates and appropriations at the county auditors that are on file with the treasurer's office. Also, I'm asking for the board to approve a 3-year contract with REA and Associates for help with the comprehensive annual financial report for the years ending June 30th, 2016, 17, and 18. The cost will be $11,200 for the first 2 years and $11,400 for the third year. And then an approval of the 5-year forecast that I will present after the other motion in a second.
We have a motion on the treasurer's financial report. So good. Motion. Do you have a second?
Second.
Discussion.
Okay. This 5-year forecast is the knowledge that I have today for the general fund and the emergency levy that we have had passed back in 2013. This forecast that you're going to see does not include the sales tax dollars, bond money, or permanent improvement, or athletic or cafeteria funds, or federal or state funds. Again, I spoke about the 5-year levy that was passed in 2013, which will expire in 2018. We will have a happy year's collection in fiscal year 17. And in 2019, it will be completely drop off the duplicate. Nothing in this projection models a new or replacement levy when this levy expires. The state revenue is based on the latest state budget. And the projections do reflect a steady decrease in the state tangible personal property replacement tax, which is based on the latest state budget. The state budget states that this revenue stream will be completely eliminated to our school district in 2021. There's an increase in open enrollment for this year, but no increase on casino tax revenue or open enrollment for the next year. The next page is fiscal year 2016 is the one that we are in. Again, our majority of our money comes from personal property taxes. Our second biggest area that we receive revenue is from state aid. Yes, sir.
It's not personal property.
I'm sorry, real estate. Sorry, real estate property taxes. Thank you. Our second highest place that we receive money is from the state budget. The district used to be the perfect district in financial-wise because 1/3 of our money came from state, 1/3 of our money came from tangible personal property, and 1/3 of it came from real estate taxes. That has since been eliminated. If you notice in 2018, I've made those in red because those are the 3 areas that will be affected when our levy goes off. A half a year from July to December in fiscal year 18. a full year in 19 and in 20. The next are the expenditures. They're based on current expenditures. The additional programs that I have in this projection for next year are an additional junior high school English, and a new special ed classroom at the elementary, but it doesn't include any other reinstatement of any other services. The projections reflect the negotiated agreement that are currently in effect for certified until 2017 and classified in 2018. The insurance costs show a 3% for fiscal year 17 and a 10% for 18 and beyond. And also, it has the negotiated contribution increase as well in the spousal language. Supplies and purchase services have a slight increase. Personal services are the actual salaries. Okay, it's missing. Personal services are our salaries. The employees' benefits, they include retirement, insurance, workers' comp, Medicare, and there's a slight increase in them over the next 5 years. Purchase services and supplies, just a slight increase. Next page, which is the page that's up there, is to me the most interesting, the most telling. We have been saving the levy that we passed in 2013. In 2018, we will start spending our savings account. That's the levy cycle. You don't spend it all in the first year, and you put it into, per se, a savings account. And in this projection, again, there's no additional levy being passed or a renewal of the emergency that's going to expire. And with this projection, we're showing an ending balance of almost $500,000 in 2000. Again, the assumptions are based on the state budget that's available today. Again, the state aid and the tangible personal property, I've discussed that they're eliminating the tangible personal property state reimbursement. There's no assumptions made on any new levy cycles or levy dollars or additional staff or programs, except for the ones that I mentioned.
Any questions? Nothing dramatically different from the last.
There's a 2% difference.
2% difference in the last time. Anyone else have any questions?
But part of that was because of I had a 10% increase in insurance benefits. And we got the actual figures, which is great, which is very good. Very good.
Would you like to explain the reason for a comprehensive annual financial report, a great document, that's such great reading? Why we have that?
It is a better understanding of financial of the school district. It's put into the easier read if there is anything easy about school funding. It does help us when we go for our bond ratings. It helps a lot we should be going back within the next 6 months, hopefully to get that raised back up again. And this is very helpful because it tells more about the school district. It takes individual funds and rolls them into one. Like I said, this 5-year forecast is general fund and the emergency levy. It takes more of the governmental the bond and rolls it into one dollar figure to see financially where the school district is, even though we can't spend it the way it is. But it's an easier read if there's anything easier to find.
And for anyone who wants to read that, it is on our website, on the treasurer's page. It is a good read, if you like reading that kind of thing. It is used mainly, well, it has a lot to do with the bond ratings. And that's just like your credit report, personal credit report. And that way we can then borrow money for bonds at a lower rate. And are we planning on doing any reissue of those old bonds? Or?
Not yet. There's not enough savings.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? And do we have a roll call, please, on the financial report?
Savage?
Yes.
Mattson?
Yes.
Kunkelman?
Yes.
Barco?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
And okay. Okay, financial advisory committee. We did not meet this one, but we're trying to put together a meeting for June to look at transportation. Possibly. We can do it. Oh, yes, we do have a position open.
Yes, we do, for Litchfield.
The Litchfield position. Anyone from Litchfield District that would like to serve on our Litchfield Township, that would like to serve on our financial advisory committee? Well, if you pass the word around that we're looking for someone, and you can get a hold of Carolyn or myself. Okay. So we are looking for that position. Anything else? Okay. Public participation. The public is invited to speak to any of the agenda items or other school topics at this time. Comments should be limited to 3 minutes. Direct questions will not be answered by Board of Education members at this time. However, answers will be given at a later date as appropriate. Would anyone like to? Yes.
Hi, Betty Middle, President of the Teachers Union. We'd just like to say how pleased the teachers are and in complete support of you renaming the Rutherford Bus in honor of Mr. Bailey, our past superintendent of conservation. We're very happy.
Anyone else like to speak tonight? Yes.
My name is Bridget Joyce, I'm speaking on behalf of Buckeye Soccer Association. We're here tonight on behalf of Buckeye Soccer Association. We would like to give an acknowledgement to Joe Serio and his staff for the devotion to our community, the boys soccer program, and to the players, their families, and the youth of this program. For those who know Mr. Serio, he is a man of integrity. He seemed to always put others, his players, before himself. He not only coached the game of soccer, but also principles of sportsmanship and character. These principles stay with our youth throughout their life. Before Mr. Serio's resignation, he was working with Buckeye Soccer Association to aid in developing young players and bringing insight to help prepare players at the next level. His resignation came as a surprise, and he was actively working with us. After hearing of his resignation, we as an organization wanted to express our respect and gratitude to him and his staff for the support they have given us. We hope whomever is hired as new coach will continue to build on the great success that Mr. Serio has left. Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes.
I'm a little nervous. I do have a written copy for you. My name is Maureen Maxwell, and I wanted to address the board regarding some recent activity that has taken place.
I was informed by Joe Serio that he and Jeff Coates were stepping down as the varsity coaches for our soccer program. I was rather shocked. It was bad enough that there was a witch hunt brought on by some parents towards the coaches, but to be told that, and I do quote this, current conditions do not allow for them to run the program as they would like to, was a bit disheartening. The alleged remarks that brought upon the investigation into the coaching staff were proved to be unfounded. Once that was resolved, I, like many other parents, were relieved. We could move on with the off-season training that was set up and get ready for the new year. Then I discovered after they stepped down, additional remarks were made, making references towards players who wanted to continue to better themselves and the program. This was by another parent, the same one who brought upon the allegations, the same parent whose child does not attend the optional training and who chose other activities over attending practices. I had the good fortune of being on the sidelines last year taking pictures. The coaches allowed me complete access on the sideline, which they did not need to do. I never once heard any derogatory remarks or witnessed them treating any player wrongfully. I watched as players became better as the season wore on. They did their job, which was to not only coach the team, but to provide instruction to the players. There was marked improvement every game. You don't see that with every coach. I watched as they turned boys into young men. While I did not agree with every decision that was made by the coaches, I truly could not find fault with what they have done. If you have a player choose to not attend mandatory practices, then they don't get the playing time. It's pay to participate. Playing time and positions are earned, not given based on who mommy and daddy are. My child is proof of that, yet he still goes to all the practices, all the optional training, and seeks out additional instruction. I, along with the other parents in attendance here, are very concerned. Most of the issues being presented and then nullified are brought upon by two board members who we feel are overstepping their bounds as board members and blurring the lines between serving the community and being a parent. I have viewed an email that makes me very concerned on the direction this board is taking. Who decides the best interest of the sports programs? Two self-serving members of the board or the principal and athletic director? What is truly frightening to us is to also know that this same outlook now has the baseball program in its sights, which the last time I looked, those members do not have a player in the high school program. While most of this is my own words, other parents have placed their names to this letter as well as seen by their signatures. Whatever may happen with the new coach for our program, you can bet that I will make sure he or she knows exactly what they will be getting into, and I will do everything I can to help them along the way. Both Coach Serio and Coach Coates gave up their time to take on our team when we needed them, foregoing their own children's games. On far too many occasions, I witnessed Joe Serio sprinting into the stadium just to catch the last portion of his daughter's soccer game, and he almost missed his daughter's senior night, all for our boys. But I wanted to leave you with one parting thought. The boys soccer program has won the conference title 5 years in a row. If you look back, Joe Serio was head coach for 4 of those years. Joe Nichols was either an assistant coach or the JV coach for all 5. Jeff Coates was a coach for 2 of them. I think that tells you what you should really be looking at, not personal vendettas by members of the board.
Would anyone else like to speak? Yes, sir.
My name is Howard Cook, and I'm the grandparent of a 2-sport Buckeye athlete. I'm also the parent of 3 daughters who were 3-sport athletes at Buckeye High School in the 90s. I taught at Brunswick. I was a varsity athletic coach, 3 sports, for over 20 years, both at Brunswick and Buckeye High School. And I know that from being on both sides of this issue, that parents can be very unreasonable, very misguided, and very unrealistic when it comes to realizing what is necessary at the varsity level in terms of skill set that is necessary, the desire to excel that is necessary, the work ethic that is necessary. I think there are a lot of parents that are kidding themselves in that regard. Joe Serio and Mr. Coates stepped in a very difficult situation 2 years ago when we were left in the lurch. You know, all of Mr. Collins, who took a coaching and teaching job strongly. They stepped in. They both had varsity coaching experience at the time. They did an outstanding job. That first team didn't miss a beat. They were an outstanding team. Last year's team was not as competitive, but through no fault of the coaches. There was a great deal of talent that had graduated. Now, this remark may seem a little maybe a little mean-spirited, but I think it's true. In the 40 or so years that I've been involved as a coach and as an observer, I've seen high school sports at every level, from league games to state championship games. I've seen highly competitive varsity sports, highly competitive club sports, highly competitive AAU sports, which is in stark contrast to recreational sports. That's not what this varsity soccer is all about. It's not recreation. It's do the best you can. Now, I think, again, this may sound a little bit mean-spirited, but I'll say it anyway, because I don't have much to fill. We're being a crappy old man. But our coaches this past year, even 2 years ago, had to deal with a number of athletes that truly lacked that significant skill set, lacked that burning desire to succeed, and lacked that tremendous work ethic. And if that's the case for some of the athletes on a team, it makes it more difficult for the coaches, and I think they've done a commendable job. I think it's unfortunate they've had to put up with negativity, criticism, and harassment. It's also unfortunate that these parents that Mrs. Maxwell referred to want to suggest or imply that they speak for the vast majority of soccer parents and that they're interested in what's the best for all the soccer parents. That's certainly not true. The suggestion was by one of them was that even parents who haven't come forward to complain and craft and express this negativity, they're also unhappy. Well, that's pretty faulty reasoning. That's not the case whatsoever. They're incorrect. There are a lot of parents that are really satisfied with the job these coaches have done. And it's really unfortunate what they've had to go through. So I just want to say that I think they've done a fine job, and it's really unfortunate. One other mean thing, I guess, while I'm going at it, is I hope that whoever becomes the next soccer coach isn't forced to sign some sort of pledge or pact, that they're forced to have people participate no matter what their skill level or no matter what their work ethic. That would be unfortunate, but I guess that's what we want here. Thank you.
Hi, Russ Clutter. I agree with everything the coach said regarding the parents and everything. My point is more along the process of this. And since everything's been done pretty much, I don't know, behind closed doors, without a lot of facts going out about what's going on, there may be a little bit of gray area in this, but my understanding is that a couple of board members were the big push behind this whole resignation thing. And with players on the team who maybe not getting the playing time that they felt they deserved. At the very least, this is an absolute conflict of interest, a major conflict of interest, and even to the point of an abuse of power and position. And if there are any more resignations taking place in our sports program or whatever, I think the resignations maybe ought to start with board members.
I'm Melinda Clutter, and my son played his first year Buckeye soccer as a homeschool youth. And I represent 23 years back-to-back coaching spring and fall soccer for the Buckeye recreational program, without exception. Not the same as high school, and I coached many of these boys, many of the young ladies. We appeared on the scene with, who is this young man? My daughter is a homeschool child in the public school of Buckeye as of last year. And we sat in the stands, and we didn't get into the cliques and the groups, and we just sat and watched and observed. And we saw nothing but pure exceptional coaching, mentoring, helping, guiding, tough love, to the nines, over and over, and encouragement. I would school my son and badger him. What happened on the bus? What happened, they say, and see what was going on. Absolutely found no fault. I will tell you this, in coaching all those years, I told some of these boys that are sitting here, many of them that are not here tonight, and the girls, if you stick with me, I may not know soccer inside and out, but what I do know is you gotta have the basic skills, you gotta have respect, you have to have a desire, and you gotta make it fun. That's what the Serios and the Coke did, and Joe Nichols. They did all of those things. And I said to these kids, as I coached, you're never going to make it on some of these teams, and they're just teaching you to run up the end of the field and score, unless you know your positions, you know where to go, you know where to be. And I took many kids that had been 3, 4, 5 years in our program on, they had no clue, and we taught them that. And I said, you will never, ever make it in high school. You'll never make the team. And guess what? Those boys didn't. They didn't. Not because of Melinda Clutter, but because of educating the young people. And I will tell you this, you're not going to please every parent. I never did. But I did not ever have a complaint through all the people running that organization. Not because I was great, but because I did exactly what Joe Serio does. And exactly what Mr. Cove does. And I believe there's a big conflict of interest in the board making this decision. I believe if we're correct, they felt like they had no choice but to step down as they're dictating what it was going to be. I believe there was a vendetta and a witch hunt. And I believe there are board members that should not have had any part in it. And I will tell you one more thing as I conclude. When I got the email and the letter that they were meeting, any parents that want to, I was the first on the phone and I was the first fighting my way in. I had no idea what was going on, but being a coach all those years, I was pretty certain what was going on. There was mommy and daddy's whining about what their son did or didn't get. That's not the way it is in high school ball. These people spoke up and said it the way it was. And I went in there with our athletic director and our principal. Their faces were ready. Oh my gosh, here they go. And I saw them just go, really? I had nothing but good, positive things to say about those coaches and about everything they did. And all the things I heard, I could predict that this was probably going to happen. And it's very, very unfortunate, very unethical, and it's wrong. And I'm here to say nobody else said it, but I think it needs to be opened up for reconsideration. I really, truly think it does. I think it needs to be opened up for reconsideration, and I will say this. Mr. Serio and Mr. Cove are not yapping and running at the mouth. That's pretty darn professional. And so that sets a great example for our young men out there. So I just think it should be open for reconsideration. Some good men, it's a real hardship. I believe it's a real hardship for our seniors that have worked their way up, and all of a sudden, boom, they got to start over with a new coach. I think it's a hardship, and I believe that these fine men would have prepared our youth for this devastation that has come. And on a personal note, representing our board, I would be more than happy to give you some emails that I received from board members over the years. Because I think this is totally unethical. I think it's wrong. And I think as our board, you have an obligation to these young men and all the young men and women that aren't here. Thanks for your time.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm a terrible speaker, but I'm trying. These guys just weren't coaches. I've been coaching baseball for 26 years. So, it's not soccer, but I can evaluate coaches. Never had a problem with these guys. Might disagree with a few things they did, playing players in positions, you know, whatever. Everybody's gonna have that problem. But what these guys did is they made my boys men. That's what they did. And I think we ought to be on our hands and knees begging these two to come back.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak?
Yes. So, I know quite a few of you, and I've had one person in this group that's actually talked to me about the situation, and nothing that was said here was mentioned to me. I will tell you right out, first of all, any of you can contact me anytime. I don't care when, and we will talk about stuff. That's the way things should be. Some comments were made, and I just want to clarify something. First of all, I don't have a kid that plays soccer. Okay? What was brought before the board was something that a junior varsity coach did. Okay? And that's what I formed my opinion on. And I commented on the junior varsity coach and what he did. Okay? And I did not agree with what the JV coach did. I did not agree with what the varsity coach did in regard to not reporting to the athletic director when maybe approved it for him. Okay? as far as I know, the little meetings and stuff, I mean, I don't know how that came about. We were investigating the JV coach. Okay, and then the entire soccer program got dragged into it. And, you know, my opinion of it was one coach did very wrong and should not have been brought back. As far as the varsity coaches, I honestly don't have any opinion because I've only heard from one of you in this crowd on anything about that coach. Okay? And their opinion was kind of neutral on it. And I'm fine with that. But if you guys come here, and I've heard a couple comments tonight, you know, 2 self-serving board members and in for a witch hunt, you know, it is, if you want to believe that, that's fine. But we should ask questions before we start making comments like that. Because we you know, I'm open. If you want to talk to some of the people in here, when people ask me questions, I answer them. And I tell you what happened. I will not violate executive session, but I will tell you what happened. Okay? And if you're going to sit there and listen to rumors and what other people say, that's fine. But you should call and ask people, hey, what's going on, and get the facts.
All right.
Can I have one comment on that?
One moment. I got to ask if there's anyone else. Okay, before I allow any reviews. Yes, sir.
I would like to speak on behalf of Joe Nichols. That man did an exceptional job coaching me my first year. What he did after the game was what he felt was necessary. These are varsity sports. This is not rec soccer. These are not kindergartners. All right, these are men coming of age. All right, and what he did was not been questioned by anyone. He's the coach. Parents should not have stepped in. That is not their responsibility. And I think that's all I would like to say.
Once again, for the record, we just say your name.
That, brother.
Anyone else want to speak tonight? Mr. Sutton.
Just in reference to Mr. Saul, right? I had a bunch of questions that I wanted to ask before I started addressing exactly those. That's why I made a comment about this all being close to the chest. I'm not sure exactly what the facts are, but I was following what the superintendent said before we were making our comments, that the board would not address any questions or whatever that you say every time before the meeting, that you would not be answering any questions and you would get back to us. That is why I did not follow through with my questions specifically to what caused all this. So that was part of the problem there. I misinterpreted apparently what that statement means.
And yes, that's to keep the meeting from being a back and forth all night.
Right.
Is there anyone else who are closed? All right. We're going to close public participation at this time. That doesn't mean that board members may not have comments at the end of the meeting. But we have a section at that time. Superintendent's information items.
Thank you. Just a few announcements this evening before we get into our recommendation items. Would invite anyone who'd like to. We have our Education Foundation's annual run with the Bucks. That's coming up this Saturday. As Ms. Middle mentioned, that run has been renamed the Craig Bailey Memorial Fun Run. Mr. Bailey was the superintendent here. He was the founder of the foundation, and also the Fun Run was his founding. So we're very honored to do that. The foundation is very honored to do that, and we certainly welcome anybody to participate in that run. It's, as I mentioned, this Saturday at 9 a.m. at the track soccer complex. Hard to believe that May 26th is our last day of school for our kindergarten through 11th grade students. And again, as well as hard to believe is that graduation is coming up on May 22nd at 1 p.m. at the Medina Performing Arts Center. I also like to announce and thank the safety departments with Earhart York Township Fire Department, the Valley City Fire Department, the Litchfield Fire Department, the Medina County Sheriff's Department, the Ohio State Highway Patrol, and the Metro Life Flight. Tomorrow we will have a mock crash for our seniors who are entering our prom season, which we know is coming up this week. I want to thank those safety forces for coming together to provide that presentation. I cannot stress enough how much this community cares for our students, particularly cares for our seniors and those participating in prom, to make good decisions, to know what the consequences of potentially harmful decisions are. So hopefully tomorrow, with the cooperation of our safety forces throughout all of our townships, will impress upon our students how important that is. So, and I will echo that, just asking for your care and your choices as we enter this season. Okay, I'll go into my superintendent recommendation items. Thank you. Under item 13A is I would ask for you to approve us to continue our membership with the Ohio High School Athletic Association for the 16-17 school year. B is our photography contract. We have a committee that we put together to review. We put a request for proposals out to local companies for our photography contract. We have been with Life Touch for several years. We did have 2 companies that responded to our request for proposals. Our committee reviewed those proposals and believed it was in our best interest for our students from a service, from a quality standpoint of what our families are receiving from our photography company, that we continue with Life Touch. The proposals were very, very similar. Packages that were offered were very similar in price, and it would be my recommendation to you that we continue with Life Touch for our student photography. The next item that I have is a recommendation that we use E&J Mechanical Services for striping of our athletic fields for the 16-17 school year. We have traditionally been with North Coast Striping, which has given us wonderful service and outstanding pricing for the striping of our fields. E&J Mechanical has taken over for North Coast Striping, taken over their business, and they have honored the very good price that we've gotten over the years. So I would ask for the 16-17 school year that we continue with E&J Mechanical, formerly North Coast Striping, at a cost of $9,000 to stripe. Would include our football fields, baseball fields, softball, and soccer fields. My next several items are items that are required by law, required by students with disabilities, individual education plans, or IEPs. My first one, D, is pupil transportation agreement. We contract when necessary with Suburban School Transportation Company. Right now, we do not have any students that are currently transported by them. But with your approval, if we do run into that situation, we can request their services in order to transport students with disabilities. If that comes up, this contract would be from July 1, 2016 through June 30th of 2017. We do have a number of students that are visually impaired in our school district. Shelley Mack, who is a teacher of the visually impaired, provides direct services to some of our students that are visually impaired, as well as providing consultative services with any of our staff that work with any students with visual impairments. We have worked with her for many years and are very happy with the service that she's provided to our students. So I would ask her to provide or to approve this contract, which would be for $62 an hour for any services provided to our school district from Ms. Mack as required by law. Again, Stars and Stripes program is a program provided by Language Learning Associates in Medina City Schools. This is for any students that require extended school year services, meaning occasionally we have students with disabilities who lose ground during the summer without having instruction. So for some students, as required by their IEPs, we provide summer instruction for them. And this is one of the programs that we have traditionally used and would like to continue to use in the summer. And with your approval, we can do that. We anticipate 2 or 3 students that might need this service, which would be $1,500 plus transportation per student for the summer. And that's approximately 7 weeks of instruction for those students. Summer Enrichment Program also is another program through the Medina County Educational Service Center. We anticipate there may be 4 to 5 students that would need this program. Again, another summer enrichment program, approximately $1,500 per student. And again, just kind of procedurally, when we have students through winter breaks and spring breaks and things of that nature, when we see some regression or some slide during those breaks, it's those times that we evaluate those students to determine whether they would need this summer intervention and how much intervention that they would need. So those IEP teams will get back together to determine how much of that might be necessary. So this is just another one of those programs that allows us to provide those services to those students. H is Positive Education Program. And again, that is another extended school year service. That's provided through the Cuyahoga County Educational Service Center. Typically, this has been for students with autism or multiple disabilities. That is $275 a day. We would anticipate approximately needing 16 days or $4,400 per student that participate in that program. This is one that we don't anticipate a lot of use from, perhaps only a couple of students, but with your approval, we can use them. As was indicated, we will have that as a separate vote, so I'll finish my list and then we'll come back to that. Our contract with our classified union, or OC, calls for us to provide physicals for our bus drivers. We certainly want to be sure that our bus drivers are physically fit to drive their buses. So with your approval, we can approve them to Lodi Hospital to come to our district on May 20th and provide physicals to all of our drivers, and that would not exceed $1,200. We have extended school year budget would be for any of our students, mostly preschool, who require evaluations during the summer. So we may have preschool students that are disabled or suspected of having a disability, and we need to bring, whether it be a psychologist or sometimes our preschool students will, preschool teachers will come in and do evaluations with the students. But with your approving this, you'll allow us to bring those folks in and do those evaluations over the summer. I have several handbooks for you. The high school student handbook would be L for the 16-17 school year. M would be the junior high student parent handbook. N is the elementary student parent handbook. And O would be the preschool student parent handbook. And I want to thank our administrators and staff that review those and go over to make any necessary adjustments and changes. And the preschool handbook, I know Ms. Nimmo, who's here this evening, does a lot with that. But I also want to thank her all of those other programs that I mentioned that are for any students that have a disability that might need some summer intervention. Ms. Nimmo is instrumental in providing those services and working with those families to ensure that that is a smooth transition and a smooth situation for our students and families when they do require summer intervention.
Okay, I entertain a motion for the superintendent recommendation items A through O with the exception of I. Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? On the student handbook, the sections on out-of-school suspensions, wonder if you could explain the rationale. There's a little bit of tweaking in there, and Mr. Garrett could help the tweaking of that section.
Yeah, and let me, I guess, from a philosophical standpoint, I can address that a little bit, and I can ask Mr. Garrett also to comment if he has any. Certainly, for a last resort would be our option to put a student out of school for an out-of-school suspension. We try very hard not to do that. We try to use every possible opportunity to keep our students in school. From a philosophical standpoint, we have generally, unless it would be a more severe situation, have exhausted other consequences such as detention, Saturday school, things of that nature that we try before we might get to an out-of-school suspension. So we do try very hard to keep our students in school. Sometimes, when you're referring to philosophically behind an out-of-school suspension, oftentimes that out-of-school suspension obviously is sending a message to the student who created the offense or did something wrong, violated our code of conduct. Philosophically also, it also may send a message to the other students that we do take their behavior seriously, we do take the environment seriously that's created by our students, and occasionally if a student is not following the rules, that can affect the educational environment within our building or within the classroom. And I think that also sends the message to other students that behavior is important and the educational environment is important. And if somebody is creating situations violating that, there may be consequences, including the most severe, which could be removing a student from their education. I'm not sure, Mr. Garrett, is anything specific about what changes that we made or recommendations that we made?
I think the one big one was that, as it's stated right now in our student handbook, it says that if a student is suspended, they cannot make up work. What we've changed that to going into next year is the first time that a student is suspended, they're able to make up any work that they missed, and then any suspensions that follow, then they're not able to. So that's really the change that we made.
And if I could just make a comment about that. In the conversation that we had, we believe that a suspension or a violation of code of conduct on a first offense may be a student who made a mistake, a one-time thing, perhaps they've never been in trouble before within our district. Our job and our goal is to educate students. A student being suspended from school, we realize that there could be, and very likely would be, an academic penalty for missing school. So it was our thought and our intention that if a student was generally a good student, had made a one-time mistake, we didn't want to affect them academically based on their mistake. Now, if they make a mistake over and over and over, then obviously there would be an academic penalty, and they could be certainly affected academically by repeated mistakes. But it would be our hope that if a student made a one-time mistake, that academically they would not be harmed or affected by that one-time mistake. Does that make sense?
That addresses my question. Anyone else have questions? Once again, and I know I say this every year when we look at these handbooks, I thank you very much for highlighting the changes. If anybody wants to read all the handbooks, cover to cover each year, and try to figure out the changes. There's no other questions? Then roll call, please.
Hanson?
Yes.
Mrs. Savage?
Yes.
Compliment?
Yes.
Dahl?
Yes.
Hurkah?
Yes. Back to I.
Yes, I'll go back to I. We are very excited administratively. We provided a presentation regarding a technology curriculum plan that we are very hopeful to be able to implement within our district. We know that the lines between technology and curriculum have very much been blurred. Recently, especially, you almost can do nothing curriculum-wise without the use of technology. As a result of that, again, I want to thank our administrators, also some staff that were involved in coming up with a comprehensive plan in order to take advantage of technology opportunities and put more technologies in the hands of our students, and likewise give our instructors the opportunity to have more technology available to them. We believe firmly that our students, when they leave us, there's virtually no careers that they will get involved with in which technology does not touch them. So it would be our hope, and through this recommendation, which I would recommend as part of our plan, that we purchase 200 Chromebooks and the tech services that go along with that. For 7th grade next year, it would be our plan that we put a Chromebook in the hands of every single 7th grader next year. And we also would like to add to that the 5-year tech plan that would cover those. When we did our original presentation, and if you'll notice in your appendix, we originally were looking to purchase those. Weren't sure exactly, we thought they might be around $300. Very happy to report that we did. We were able to secure a price through one of our vendors for $195 per machine. So very happy with that. That will give us the opportunity, hopefully, to continue with our program. We also hope, and I will bring to you the recommendation at a later time, the other part of our plan for next year would be to continue the 2-to-1 program in our intermediate school. We currently have a 2-to-1 program in 5th and 6th grade, and we would hope to be able to add that in the 4th grade. And ultimately, again, I know we presented this at a board meeting already, but as we look at this plan more long range, it would be our hope that between 7th and 12th grade, that every single one of our students has a device at their disposal. We would hope that every student from 3rd through 6th grade is in a situation where there's a machine for every 2 students, and then our primary building, we're looking at a situation where we have carts available to our staff and to our students to use in the classroom. So ultimately, that is our plan, and we believe it's feasible, and we believe it's something that we can accomplish. So with your approval tonight, this can start our first step of this plan.
I'll entertain a motion to accept the superintendent's recommendation I for the purchase of Chromebooks. Anyone want to make a motion?
So
Is there a second?
That was second motion.
Discussion.
I wanted the item pulled, just look separately. I have a bunch of questions. I'm going to be with Brian this week and discuss it. So,
One question that I do that we look for long-range troubleshooting positions that are.
Yeah, we're working on that plan right now. I thank Ms. Collins and our administrators for their work with this. Yes, we are investigating what our options are as these come to end of life.
Okay. Any other questions, discussion?
Is there a cost to the 7th grade student for maintenance of the machine?
We have discussed it again. This is something we'll roll into our families as we get closer to that portion. It's our intention and hope that there will be no cost to our families. We are talking about a technology fee that we would implement in the future. Nothing for next year, but we are talking about a technology fee that we would implement. But it would be our hope, and I have challenged our administrators at this point to look at our overall fees that we charge our families, and it would be our hope that we reduce those fees to cover this fee, so there would be no increase in any fees to our families for this program.
What about breakage? I mean, is that included in the contract?
Right now, and again, please know that we have visited several districts and looked at the implementation of this program in other districts. To this point, it would be our hope, and based on the experience of other districts, that they have not seen a large example of breakage. The other districts that we visited have made the decision to fix those themselves with their current tech staff. And at this point, it would be our intention to use our own staff to fix those, but certainly we would be open to other options if we find that the amount of that issue is overwhelming to our staff.
Any other questions? And roll call, please.
Gilman?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Sisselich?
yes.
Burkhart?
Yes. And now we're going on. New business.
Yeah, and this will be the first step to us placing another levy on the ballot. It's very hard to believe that 4 years have gone by since we did pass such a very important levy issue to our community. For those of you that were here and have that memory, it certainly was a difficult time in our district, and we continue to be very grateful to our community for the support that they provided us at that time. This resolution is a resolution of necessity. The resolve of the Buckeye Board of Education consider the attached resolution of necessity for the renewal of the emergency tax levy, which a copy of the complete resolution is attached to the board members' agendas in Appendix H. And again, I want to stress this is a renewal of that emergency levy, and this is just step one of that process. At our next meeting, we would bring the additional language in order to approve to have it placed on the ballot, but this would be step one.
Entertain a motion to place the resolution of necessity on. Motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion. Roll call.
Stahl?
Yes.
Sisselich?
Yes.
Hanson? Gilman?
Yes.
Burkhart?
Yes. Personnel.
Yes, thank you. Under certified personnel, my first item, I would recommend you that we hire Brittany Peltz as a one-year long-term substitute. We received a request from Crystal Jones to have a year's worth of maternity leave, child care leave, and Brittany Peltz has done a wonderful job for us this year in that position, and I would ask you to allow her to continue in that position and continue to work with our high school students. I have a child care request from Katie Gross, a third grade teacher. She also is asking for a year's leave of absence for child care leave. I also have a change of assignment. Mr. Dave Parrish has requested to fill an open position we have. Cooperative Business Instruction is a new program for us next year. It will be completely 100% paid for by the Career Center. This is a program that will be targeting students that may need a little extra support in school, perhaps behaviorally or perhaps academically. This program would be a program which students would receive that instruction from perhaps a job skill standpoint. and also may have the opportunity to work for part of the day. So Mr. Parrish has requested to move into that position, and I would ask for your approval of that today. I have a medical leave from Rachel Paul. She is an elementary intervention specialist. We do have medical documentation to approve that leave through May 24th. I have a medical request from Brittany Bevington, from her physician on Brittany Bevington's behalf, to extend her medical leave through May 23rd. Mr. Kirk Haschek has been on medical leave, and we've received medical documentation to extend that medical leave for the first semester of next school year. I also bring in number 7, a resignation of Nina Cow. She's a first grade teacher at Buckeye Primary. That will be effective at the end of the school year. Number 8 is technology training. Per the item that we approved previously, with your approval of this item, we can bring teachers in over the summer and pay them to receive the training to help them to be ready to serve our students on day 1 of school next year. With those classrooms that are receiving the one-to-one devices and some other technology initiatives. But that would be at the contracted rate of pay of $25 an hour or $175 a day for a 7-hour day. And we would not expect that to exceed more than $4,375. We had an agenda item previously at a previous meeting. I explained before that we have some teachers that have gifted students in their classes, but those teachers do not specifically have gifted certification. So the state allows for gifted consultation, so that if we have our gifted coordinator consult with those teachers outside of their class time, that we do get credit for those gifted services from those teachers. So with your approval of that item, we can allow those teachers to work with our consultant. There is an item on the State of Ohio report card that references gifted, and this will also help us to achieve that point on the report card. I'll go to number 2. Number 2 is my recommendation that we hire Lori Green as Technology Resource Coordinator, effective August 1st. She'll be compensated on a performance-based contract. Our recommendation would be for a 3-year contract beginning August 1st, 2016. I also have a resignation number 3, Nicole Shevchenko. She's a bus driver, and she has asked us to accept her resignation effective June 30th. Another resignation that I bring to you, Lisa Bettler. She has been a custodian part-time in the evenings at Buckeye High School, and she has asked for us to accept her resignation. And then I'm going to go to number 6. I also have a resignation, Betty McWilliam. She has been a junior high special needs paraprofessional. And congratulations to her. Her resignation is as a result of her desire to retire. She's done a wonderful job for us, and we want to thank her for being a part of our system, and we wish her the best of luck in her impending retirement. And then C would be the resignation, accept the resignation of our Joe Sirio, Jeff Coates, and Joe Nichols.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion to accept the personnel items with the exclusion of B1 and B5. Is there any motion? Is there not make a motion?
Motion.
Motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
We have a second. Discussion? B1 is the administrative contract for our athletic directors. We're going to delay that to another meeting so that we can check out some of the legal situations that a board member has involved. So we have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Roll call. Any other? Roll call, please.
Virgo?
Yes.
I'm sorry. Sisella?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Dunkelman?
Yes.
Mattson? Parker?
Okay. Number 5.
Yeah, we've worked on a separation agreement with employee bus driver, Erica Jenkins. With your approval tonight, we can execute the separation agreement, and a copy of that agreement will be held in credit.
Is there a motion to accept the separation agreement?
I so move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call, please.
Councilman.
Yes.
Manson. Sisella.
No.
Stahl.
No.
Barco.
Yes. Board comments.
Thank you everybody for being here. On a different athletic front, Buckeye Girls Junior Varsity Softball team swept the Northwestern Husky Tournament this weekend. First time in Buckeye history. We went down there, took out Ashton on Friday night, came around, we were on the bottom of the bracket, and took out #1 seeded Dalton, which is a very good athletic program. And we moved down to Northwestern, took them by 10 runs in 7 innings. 7 home runs hit over the weekend by freshmen and sophomores. It was a great weekend for Buckeye softball. There were some incredibly young girls on that team. I've coached them in a long time. I've coached here at Buckeye. These kids, they win with ability and they lose with grace. They teach me more than I teach them every day that I'm from. So they're good kids. The other good news is Buckeye varsity softball has done so well in the conference that the sectional tournament started today. We got a bye. We have to play the first game. Our game we'll be playing tomorrow. We have our first home game, so we have home field advantage. But we'll be playing the winner of the Padua Firewood's game tonight. And then they'll be that game this week, and then we'll move on to regionals next week. Maybe the Red Keystone Cats. But we're going to come down strong and hard. Please, tomorrow's game's at 4:30 at the softball field. Come on out and we'll watch a great game. Lots of good girls playing.
Yeah, just a couple of things. I do want to thank Mr. Serio and his soccer coaches for the service to our school district. Actually, Mr. Cope was the soccer coach for my youngest son. And so we've had experience working with him before. So we accepted their resignations, but I want to thank them for their service. Also, for the board members, I received an email asking if I would attend the Medina County Career Center award ceremony. And I just wanted to know if we're going to be represented. Someone else has already committed to go, or you'll be there? You're going? Okay. Just, I just want to make sure we're well represented at the award ceremony. That's all I have. Thank you.
DC trip was last week, and I just want to say how proud I was of the kids and the job they did. Probably 4 or 5 different venues, including our bus drivers, so they were the best behaved kids they had seen quite a while. So kids loved it, it was a good time, and I was proud of their behavior.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you, soccer parents, for your input. Have a good night.
All right, I would like to thank Joe, Jeff, and Joe for what they've done. It saddened me that they turned in their resignation. I wish it didn't happen. But it was not a inevitable thing from the board standpoint. So I don't know who said that it looked like that they had to step down. They did not. But thank you all for coming tonight. I really do appreciate it. Anything else? Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Is there a second? I have a second. Always appreciate you. Roll call.
Councilman.
Yes.
Manson.